Good afternoon, children.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We were discussing about the features of a cell, the shape and its size. In our previous class, we discussed about those in detail. Okay, and we mentioned about a unicellular organism which can change its shape. Which is a unicellular organism capable of changing its shape? Hira?
Amoeba.
Amoeba. And there is a cell in human body which can also change its shape. Alan?
WBC.
WBC. Very good. So that we had covered, and we also learned about the function of a nerve cell. Who will tell me the function of a nerve cell?
Ma'am,
Ah,
it receives and transfers messages
ah.
and it helps
Control,
control other body parts.
control and coordinate different parts of our body. So today we'll be learning more about cell. So let us continue. Okay. So this is a slide which we discussed towards the end in our previous class. And I told you that the size of the cell has no relation with the size of the animal. Size of the organism and size of the animal cell has got no connection. For example, if you take the case of an elephant and a rat, definitely elephant is bigger, larger than a rat. But the cells in an elephant are not bigger than those in a rat. Cells will be more or less of the same size. But if you take the number of cells, that will be more in an elephant than in a rat. The number of cells can be more as the size of the organism is bigger. But if you take the size of the cells, it will remain the same. The size of the cell is related to its function. You know that just now Alan told the function of a nerve cell. It will receive and transfer messages, helping to control and coordinate different parts of the body. So whether it is an elephant or a rat, function of nerve cell is just the same. In both these animals, the nerve cells will be long and branched. They perform the same function of transferring messages. So whether it is an elephant or a rat, nerve cells will be long and branched, and they perform the same function of transferring messages whether it is a rat or an elephant. Okay? So what you need to understand is, as the size of the animal increases, size of the cell will not increase. Size of the cell will be more or less the same in all the animals, but the number of cells can be more. Suppose you take a very lean person, very thin person, and a very fat and stout person. So the fat person will have more number of cells, whereas the thin person, the lean person will have less number of cells. But the size of the cells will remain the same. Only number will be more. Hope you got the point. Now moving on to the next slide. This you know, children, the different levels of organization. So in the beginning of the chapter, I had already told you about this level of organization or levels of organization. Just a minute. Let me take the pen. Here. See, a cell is the structural and functional unit of all living organism. And a group of cells with a common function, they form a tissue. A group of similar cells having a specific function, you call as a tissue. What is a tissue? A group of similar cells performing a specific function. Note it down. A group of similar cells performing a specific function. So a group of cells will form a tissue. A group of tissues will form an organ. A group of organs will form an organ system, and several such organ systems will form an organism. So the different levels are cell, tissue, organ system, organism. Cell, tissue, organ system, organism. What is a tissue? A tissue is a group of similar cells performing a specific function. Cell is a basic structural and even functional unit of all living organisms. A cell is Cell is a structural and functional unit of all living organisms. Alan, who is disturbing you? Your sister? Huh? Is that your sister?
He asked which chapter only.
Okay. Cell is a basic structural and functional unit of living organisms, and a group of similar cells performing a specific function is known as a tissue. No doubt? Do you have any doubt?
No, ma'am.
No. So moving on to the next slide. We are going to see what are the basic components of a cell. A cell is having different components. Three main components of a cell. Starting with the first one. Cell membrane. What is the other name for cell membrane, children? Plasma membrane. Cell membrane is also known as plasma membrane. Then cytoplasm. Finally, nucleus. These are the three components of a cell. Cell membrane, we can even call it as plasma membrane. Cell or plasma membrane. Then there is nucleus and cytoplasm. Nucleus, cytoplasm and cell membrane. These are the three main components of a cell. Once again, the three main components of a cell are cell membrane, cytoplasm and nucleus. Nucleus, cytoplasm and cell membrane. Now we will be learning about each of these components in detail. Okay? So let's start with the first one, cell membrane. Now throughout this lesson, we are going to compare cell to a school. Okay? Not the present situation or not the school in the present situation, when the school was working as normal before COVID-19. Okay? Before that, our pandemic situation. So we are going to compare school to a cell or cell to a school. And each component of the cell, I will be comparing to some component in the school. Okay? So we'll start with the first one, cell membrane. So cell membrane is a selectively permeable.
Ma'am. Hello. Ma'am. Heart recording.
Okay, children. So I was saying that each component of a cell we'll be comparing with a component there in the school. So we started with the first one, that is cell membrane or plasma membrane. So this plasma membrane or cell membrane will enclose the cytoplasm and the nucleus. So you know that there are three components for a cell: cytoplasm, nucleus, and cell membrane. And cell membrane will be enclosing the other two components. Cell membrane encloses a nucleus and cytoplasm. And the cell membrane will separate the cells from one another and also from the surrounding medium. So we are seeing the different functions. It will enclose cytoplasm and nucleus. It will separate cells from one another. It is because of the cell membrane that the different cells are getting separated or partitioned, and it will also separate them from the surrounding medium. Then the cell membrane is porous and it will allow the movement of substances or materials to and fro towards the cell and from the cell. And you can say that cell membrane is selectively permeable. Selectively permeable means it will not allow all substances to pass through it. It will select which materials to go in and which materials not to go in and out. So that will decide. Only if the plasma membrane allows, materials can enter and leave the cell. So the plasma membrane or cell membrane is selectively permeable. I'll be repeating once again the points one by one. We'll start with the first point. Okay. The cell membrane or plasma membrane, it will enclose cytoplasm and nucleus. There are three components: cytoplasm, nucleus, and cell membrane. So cell membrane will be enclosing the other two components. Now point number 2. The cell membrane will separate the cells from one another and also from the surrounding medium. It is because of this boundary, that is cell membrane, the cells can be differentiated from one another and also from the surrounding medium. One cell you can distinguish from the other cell because of this membrane. Point number 3. It is porous. Porous means having pores. It is provided with small openings. Small, minute, microscopic openings are there in cell membrane. Why do they have pores? These pores will allow the movement of materials inward and outward. So cell membrane is porous, and through these pores, materials will go in and out. Okay. Now, point number 4, very important point. It's selectively permeable. Means it will allow only selected substances. It will decide who should go in, who should not go out, which material should go in, which material should not go in. So all that is decided by plasma membrane. All materials cannot pass through plasma membrane. It's selectively permeable and it will allow only selected substances to pass through it. Got it, children? These 4 points. Now, I have given the picture of a gatekeeper here. Security or the gatekeeper. Security guard or the gatekeeper. Now, the cell membrane, we can compare to the gatekeeper of a school. And what is the duty of the gatekeeper? Anandida, tell me, what is the role of gatekeeper? Think about our school and tell me, what does the gatekeeper do?
When the car in came, they will open the gate.
They will open. And anybody who is coming, will they permit in?
No.
No. So they will check the, what to say, they will check who is coming in, or if we need to go out. Suppose you want to bunk the class and in the afternoon you want to skip the classes and go out. If you run and reach the gate, will he open it for you?
No.
No. And even if the teachers need to go, we have to show the out pass. Only then he will verify and only then he will open the gate. But at the same time, if sir's car comes in, he will open, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
If some parents are coming, he will open. So he will decide who should go in, who should not go. If some people who are coming for selling things, so such people when they come, he will not permit. If they haven't taken a prior appointment, he will not permit them in. He will tell them to take an appointment and come again. So anybody who wants to come to the school, they cannot come. They need permission, otherwise they will not be permitted in. So that is why we are comparing cell membrane to the gatekeeper, because just like our gatekeeper who regulates or who controls who should enter and leave the school, the cell membrane also will decide which materials to go in and which materials not to go in and out. Clear? Got the point? So throughout each component will be
Yes, ma'am.
related with a similar component in our school. So once again, I will sum up the points. Okay, I'll be repeating the points once again. So we started with the first point, that is the cell membrane or plasma membrane. It will enclose cytoplasm and nucleus. That is the first point. I want you to learn now. That is why I'm repeating 3-4 times. Okay.
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
point number 2. It will separate cells from one another and also from the surrounding medium. Point number 3. The membrane is porous. What do you mean by porous? Having pores. P-O-R-E-S, small openings. Why are these pores present? To permit the movement of materials inward and outward. But at the same time, a membrane is selectively permeable. What do you mean by selectively permeable membrane? It will allow only selected substances to pass through it. Clear?
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
it clear? Okay, so we learned 4
Yes, ma'am.
points about cell membrane. Okay, children. So one of you tell me which are the 3 main components of a cell.
Cell membrane,
Wait. Hira.
cell membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus.
Okay. Now we learned 4 points about cell membrane. So one by one, you can tell me. Asin, can you tell me any one point about plasma membrane or cell membrane? We learned 4 points. Anyone?
The cell membrane or the plasma membrane encloses the cytoplasm and the nucleus.
Now without looking, you say. Now you read, no? Look at me and say.
The membranes or the plasma membranes enclose the cytoplasm
And?
or the nucleus.
Not or, and. It includes, you can just say cell membrane encloses cytoplasm and nucleus. Okay, good. Alia, point number 2.
It allows the selected substance to pass through it.
It will allow only selected substances to pass through it. So, Alia, what do you call such a membrane?
Cell membrane.
No, that is okay. The membrane which is allowing only selected substances. What do you call that feature? Selectively permeable. What is that?
Selectively permeable.
Which means only selected substances will be allowed to move across the membrane. Now, point number 3, Ehsan. Ehsan wants to show the ceiling of his house, the fan, but not your face. Where are you, dear? Tell me one point.
The membrane is porous and allows the movement of substances of the material.
Are you reading, dear? Are you reading?
Both inward and outward.
Are you reading, Ehsan,
Yes,
from
ma'am.
your book? You have to try to
Yes, ma'am.
say without
Yes, ma'am.
looking. Okay. Once you read and you said. Now, without reading, without referring anywhere, try to say. I will help you. The cell membrane is?
The cell membrane is
Look here.
Is
Porous.
porous.
Porous. Don't look into the book.
and allowed
Movement
the
of
movement of substances
inward and
outward.
outward. So when I'm asking questions, try to say without looking. If you're not getting, no problem. So we'll help, or I will ask your friends to help, or I can help you. But if you simply read it, When I am asking question, if you just read it, you won't understand. You won't be able to, or your memory power cannot be strengthened. You try to answer, let it be wrong, no problem. You will skip in between, no problem. That is how you learn. You learn from your mistakes. Okay. Now 4 points we completed. So shall I continue? Yes?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Now we are moving on to next component of the cell. But you might be thinking, this point we did not mention. We didn't mention about cell wall. The 3 main components what we said are cytoplasm, nucleus and cell membrane. Because we mentioned only 3 components as the main parts of a cell, because those 3, plasma membrane, cytoplasm and nucleus, are found in all cells. Whether it is a plant cell or an animal cell, plasma membrane, cytoplasm, plasma, wait, plasma membrane or cell membrane, nucleus, cytoplasm, these are found in all cells. That is, both plants and animals, you can find these components. Whereas cell wall, it's found in plant cells and not in animal cells. That is why we did not mention under the main components of a cell. Hope you understood what I said. After cell membrane, we are going to discuss about cell wall. Cell wall is found in plant cells, but it is not found in animal cells. Now let's see what is the reason. Cell wall is found only in plant cells. And plant cells, they have cell membrane also. Outside the cell membrane, they have one more thick layer that is known as cell wall. And now you might be thinking, why only plant cells are having one more layer in addition to cell membrane? The reason is, children, plants, they can't move. Okay, so they are fixed at one place. So when there are some climatic changes, when temperature, moisture, wind speed, all these fluctuates, animals can definitely move to some safer places. But plants, they cannot pull out their roots and they cannot run. When rain comes or when there is heavy wind, they can't move. So they will be fixed at one place. Whereas animals, they are capable of moving. They can move to safer places. So because plants are fixed at one place, to give them additional protection, they are having this cell wall. It will provide protection against the fluctuations or changes in temperature, high wind speed, moisture, etc. As plants, they are not capable of moving to escape from such harsh conditions. But animals, if it is raining in one particular region, animals, they can run and move to some safer places, or they can go to some shade. Whereas if it is a plant, the plants cannot move. And because of that reason, to give them extra protection, they have one more layer. You call it a cell wall. So don't get confused between cell membrane and cell wall. Cell membrane is also known as plasma membrane. And cell membrane is found in, as in, cell membrane is found in all living organisms. Cell membrane is found in all cells, whereas cell wall is found in plant cells. Cell wall is absent in animal cells. Is it clear? Cell wall, cell membrane, Cell membrane both in plant and animal cells. Cell wall only in plant cells. Clear? And here I have compared cell wall to security guard. Already we have a gatekeeper. And in some places you have seen outside the gate, one person will be in the uniform. They'll be patrolling here and there to check whether any problems are there or any trespassers are there. So to provide additional protection other than the gatekeeper, when one more person, a security guard is also there, it is just like that. So plants are having, in addition to cell membrane, they have cell wall. So already a gatekeeper is there, and to provide additional or extra protection, the security guard is maintained in some schools. So there you can compare cell wall to a security guard. It is thick. It's a thick wall, and it is made up of a substance known as cellulose. It's made of a substance known as cellulose. And the function of cell wall, it gives shape and rigidity, stiffness to the plant cell. So got the points? So one by one, we will check the points again. So starting with the first point, I want you people to learn as and when we are discussing these points. So I can just tell once. Why should I repeat 2, 3 times like that? So I want you to learn along with me. When I'm saying the points, you can also repeat the points in mind. Okay, but if all start to speak loudly, then it will be so noisy. So you can repeat it in mind and you can learn. So starting with the first point, cell wall is found only in plant cells. Point number 1. Point number 2, it is an additional wall outside the cell membrane. Point number 3, functions. It provides protection against changes in temperature, high wind speed, moisture, because plants cannot move to escape such bad or harsh environmental conditions. They also give shape and rigidity to the plant cell. It gives shape and rigidity to the plant cells. And last point, it is thick and it is made of a carbohydrate known as cellulose. Have you learned the points, children? Have you learned it? Cell wall is found only in plant cells. It's an additional wall. It's found in plants to provide them protection. Protection from what? From fluctuations in temperature, high wind speed, moisture, or in general you can say when the environmental conditions change, when it becomes harsh, Salin, plants cannot escape because they are not capable of moving. So cell wall gives them the protection. It's very thick and made of cellulose, and it gives shape and rigidity to the plant cells. Okay? Okay, quickly summarize the points now. Who is going to start? Andrin? Andrin, are you there? No response, Andrin. Andrin, where did you go in between? Tell me the truth. Where did you go in between? If you are telling the truth, I'll forgive you. Tell me. I'll excuse you. Be frank. Where did you go? Went to drink water, child? Unmute. I want to speak to you, child. Andrin, unmute. What happened? Why you didn't respond in the beginning? You came running, no, now? Andrin. Andrin. Vanished? Okay, Alia, tell me one point about cell wall.
Cell wall is found in only in plants.
Very good. Then, Hira. Hira, another point.
It is made up of a carbohydrate known as cellulose.
Cellulose, and it is very thick. Okay, Alan. Alan? Tell me another point. Jeff, get ready.
It protects from the
It protects the plant cells from
heavy temperature and
some
fast
fluctuations
winds.
in temperature, high wind speed, etc. Okay, Jeff, another point.
It
What happened? Jeff? Anandita?
The walls give shape and rigidity to the
Yes, cell
plants.
wall gives shape and rigidity to the cells. Andrin? Andrin, you want to say one point? Andrin, are you there? Andrin?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the function of cell wall? You know the answer? Please do learn and come. Next class, I'll begin by asking you questions. Agreed?
Yes, ma'am.
Agreed, Andrin?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, children.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.